What's up, Mr. Gary?
It's Friday.
It's Friday, and you know what? I've been working really hard on something, and I hope you like the setup, man.
Dude, look at this place. What do you guys think? This place is amazing. I mean, this is the dream come true. I love doing this stuff. I told Abel this all the time. I'm kind of a personality type of guy anyways. And to see all the stuff, I feel like I'm like legit 100%. I'm all pumped right now.
You know what? We even went through the trouble and through the love of making sure that Mr. Gary had his own setup and just like everything. Everything's just equalized and balanced for him.
I'm telling you, man. So, I mean, if you don't know the backstory, I have had some problems with my throat. And, yeah, I have this scratchy voice. But when we...
Not like COVID problems with this stuff.
Oh, no. This is like other stuff. No. None of that stuff.
Yeah.
But, seriously, I have a little bit of a grasp on my voice. And it pitches real high. And so... I'm looking at the sound right now as I talk.
It's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
The numbers are nice, right?
Yeah, I'm liking it because when we were doing it last week, man, this thing was like, I felt like I was Mariah Carey hitting the note, man.
Hitting the octaves.
Things are popping in the other room.
No, and you know what? So like
dogs are screeching.
We got this setup, and then we even got like a little back kind of what do you call it? Little backdraft here, or back, or was it back?
We got a little backdrop, too.
Backdrop, there you go, backdrop, and it's comfortable here. It's nice. We have nice chairs. We have the nice stuff. I mean, this is cool, man. It should make our conversations a lot easier. We're sipping on some tea, sipping on some coffee. We're good. It's a good day. It's Friday.
It's Friday, dude.
Yep, Friday.
Friday.
So, a lot of us have been stuck at home still. A lot of us stuck at home, and this is, I mean, I've said it before, this is our second home, and I've literally been stuck here more than at home, actually. This is actually the first place that I've been quarantined at.
Dude, I talk to Abel constantly. I'm always talking about, like, what the governor's doing, what's going on. I'm watching like a hawk. Because
you also work for the city, so you get a lot of information.
Well, I get a lot of, like, stuff thrown at me. Some of it real, some of it not real. Some of it just... I don't know where that comes from, but anyways, but I'm looking, dude. Stage 3 is right on our heels, and I'm telling Abel, dude, let's go freaking rogue and open this place up, and let's just start training.
You know, I've been getting so many calls and text messages and emails about, our craft community just saying, hey, you know what? I know you guys have been trying to be good, following the rules, following the guidelines. Let's open up. And as much as I want to do that, I mean, I think that we're trying to be leaders in the community to try to follow the rules. But, man, some of these things are just really, really just pushing the envelope. And, I mean, we're still following the rules and all that and doing what we have to do. But, man, a whole big part of me is just wanting to open these doors up, man. I've been driving around the city. I know the city really well. And there's a lot of places that are opening up that are gyms and martial arts studios and stuff. And I'm just like, man, you know, what's going on?
It's not like gyms like your 24-hour fitness or your crunch. We're talking more like your jiu-jitsu gyms, PJJ gyms, your taekwondo gyms, and, you know, some of those CrossFit gyms. Keep it on down low. Hey, I'm cool with that. I told you
Gary, I know you're cool with that.
I'm a little bit of a rebel, so you know.
Yeah, I know you're cool with that, and I know a lot of you at home.
But
are
I
cool
understand
with that.
Abel's point.
But there's also a lot of people that rely on us for, for taking the high road, and I know that a lot of you are still supporting us because of it, because you know that we're trying to be good people. We're not all good people. We try to be good people, and we're trying to follow the rules, and we're trying to set a precedence, and trying to be leaders and showing our kids and teens and adults that we should follow the rules and do what we got to do and do it right. But, man, they're pushing us to wanting to do some speakeasy stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, and that's where this all comes back down to, man. It comes back down to where you can tell people to do whatever, but you got people like me with a little bit of like that little rebellion in them. And
no,
like,
I get it. I mean, look.
Like, hey, let's go anyways.
Hey, Mr. Gary, ultimately, if you're at this place, you have a little bit of rebellion in you.
But seriously, I mean, I think we both know that this is a real thing, the pandemic. We both get it. We both have
absolutely.
Both our families are knee deep in the side of working with people.
Well, they're front line. I mean, you got family members that are front line.
Yeah,
I have my brother, my wife that are front line.
My wife and I got other family.
It's real. It's real for sure.
It's definitely real. So we don't want to make light of that. But at the same time, there's a couple guys that have been quarantined who then all of a sudden turned it into a podcast because
Mr. Garrett, hey, I'm going crazy, man. I was telling Mr. Brett earlier, like this week, man, I had a tough time. Making it through the week.
I think we all go through that.
But you guys know how positive I am, man. I try to keep my wits about me. Something happened, man.
He is. He's usually 100% positive, and I know when, and I usually know when he's. Usually I'm good at spotting it. I didn't spot it this week.
It's like I'm going feral, man.
Yeah, because usually he's the one going like, hey, man, what's up, Gary? Stay positive, stay real, and feeding me some stuff. And I didn't do that back. I didn't realize.
No, it's not that. It's just, it just got me from nowhere. Like, it's just, I mean, listen, there's got to be someone out there that understands this. Like, you're working hard at something. You're trying to be good. You're trying to follow the guidelines. You're trying to follow the rules, and then it's just like...
Let's keep it real, because COVID-19 hit, and all this pandemic just blew up, and then all of a sudden something new came right in the middle of that. And I think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, we all have a voice. We want to express our opinions, and we want to do that. And we can't do that from sitting on the sidelines. And sitting on the sidelines, you feel like you're not doing something. And I think with this whole George Floyd protest, whatever side you're on, we both have decided not to be political like that and talk about that, but we both agree that was completely wrong.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No human deserves that. No human deserves to go out that way. I think that we took a hard stance on that. You know, it was murder. I mean, it wasn't supposed to be like that. Now, can you still be supportive of law enforcement and also think that what happened to George Floyd was wrong? Absolutely. You know what? We have, you said it before, between both of us, we know at least 100 law enforcement.
And probably more.
Probably more. And then the amount of people that train here with us, we work with law enforcement all the time. And you know what? We have like the best of the best people here, man. I can think of 100 names right now, and I'm just like, man, those people are like the people that I love and respect the most.
And I work for a city, and I see the bad side of the public. I really do. I think once you're on a side, whether you want to be on that side or not, you see a different version of different things. I'm not excusing
but Mr.
anything.
Gary, do you have to choose a side? Look, listen, you could still be concerned for...
that's kind of what I was saying.
Yeah, you could still be concerned for, you can still be concerned for law enforcement. You can still be concerned for what happened with George Floyd, and you can still be concerned for, or against looting and rioting and stuff like that. Listen, I'm not choosing any sides. All I'm choosing is a balance, guys. Listen, we need law enforcement. Yes. Are there good people in law enforcement? Absolutely. Are there bad people in law enforcement? Yeah. We obviously just seen that. Right? It's caught on video. We could see it, and there's a history of it. Being minorities, we've also seen it personally. With that said, does that mean that we should, shun all law enforcement? No, I don't think so. I don't think that that's a balanced approach. Now, for people that are wondering how we feel about, the protests and all that, well, listen, look at our team. Look at our core team. We're pretty much a rainbow. We got all colors in there, man. Yeah. All backgrounds, all cultures. And you know what? We're happy about that. We're happy to represent all that. So, guys, it's a matter of balance. Balance out. Like we talk about balance in life. Well, guess what? This is the same thing. You apply the same rules to this. You don't have to choose a side. Be smart. Use your brain and analyze the information that's out there, right? Not everybody's bad. Not everybody's good. Okay? Regardless of the uniform they're wearing, they're not all bad and they're not all good. You just have to use your wits about, apply that to it.
Oh, yeah. I'm mainly just bringing that up, talking about how you feel. And seriously, it's pushed to everybody, dude, to the point of like come on, man. I have to be at home when I can't even eat in a restaurant. I can't go get my hair cut. Can't go do. I get it, man. You get pushed to the limit a little bit, and you start feeling like, man, you little ho hum. You know.
Well, here's my thing. All right, so there was that freeway expansion, right? We had 2 weeks to put this together. We did it. I thought, okay, that was a massive hurdle. The group made it look easy because we all worked as a team, but it wasn't easy. We get through that, COVID hits. All right, we're getting through that. We're figuring it out. We pivot. We start kicking.
And we feel like stage 3 is like,
yeah,
right
it's just
there.
like we pivot. Like there's a lot of places just folded.
Yeah.
Actually, I know a lot of people that just folded. We pivot. We learn how to do everything online. We learn how to do the Zoom. We learn how to do stay connected with everybody. We learn how to just provide something valuable for people while people cannot come in here. And we're like, all right, we're getting through it. Like that's it. Like we see the light at the end of the tunnel, and then we get hit again. It's like, all right, man. Like I'm like a cat. I'm like 9 lives, right? This week, I don't know why. I don't know why it was this week, but man, I felt it. I felt heavy, and I'm not like that, and I apologize. I feel like as a leader of as one of the leaders in our community, there's a lot of leaders in our group, but as one of the leaders in our community, I judge myself pretty hardly because I'm like, I shouldn't feel like this.
Yeah,
I should be able to pull everybody out of this, but I felt it this week. Just this week, I felt it, and I was just like, man.
Also, you have other things you're worrying about. We all do. Life kind of pushes you. You're worried about Papa Abel coming back. Shout out to Papa Abel, but quarantine himself.
Yeah, my dad does business in outside of the States, and he's traveling and stuff, and that worries us too, and for his safety and the safety of the family too, and stuff like that.
I have older kids. I have the luxury of having older kids. You have younger kids. That's tough, man. Just keeping a good face. Hey, they got a routine and they're just living. I'm
not going to show my daughter or my son that there's stuff going down.
They're way too little.
That's part of just being a leader and doing your thing. I think that I talked to you about it because I feel comfortable with you and with the core team. But man, this week I couldn't shake it this week, and I feel so bad about it. I feel like
one thing I will say, Mr. Abel. I'm pretty proud of my boys, man. They talking to them both, and I'm not going to bring up their stances, but they're pretty level-headed kids, man, and they got a good feel for what all this crap that was going down, and they voice their opinions, and they have an opinion, and it's an educated opinion. So for that, I'm thankful and grateful because
that's awesome. Because you know what? I think that for the majority of our community that we have here that follow us and that train with us and that have supported us, I think we all feel the same. I think that we understand that we are a community and we are different. And you know what? We love that. We love the fact that we are different.
We see it daily here in HB, dude. We're in the heart of the heartland right here in
California. Hey, man, we're a block away from the beach. Give me a break. We're in heaven right now.
Yeah, we're in heaven, but we're also in the middle of Orange County's little battle. Everything's been really, really nice and good to see all the protests going on all over Orange County. And none of them have really had any kind of escalation. They've all been real
which is good, man.
Positive.
You know what?
Except for one place. And HB, man, I'm letting you know, man, we're better than that. I know there's different types of races. I know we're a little more affluent than other places, but come on, man. Just let people voice their opinions and let it get over with and let it be. We all have opinions, man, and we just want to be heard. That's all it is. That's all.
Yeah, well, I think that it's also fair to point out that, if people are protesting,
be safe. First of all,
yeah, be safe, be smart. And please don't forget about the people that would be out there supporting, but have to run a business or try to stay afloat.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I don't want my place to be
Well,
burned down.
that's a great point.
Like, I literally don't want my place to be burned down. You know why? Because this is all I got.
Because I'm probably the guy who, if we were any closer to any nonsense, we have already talked about it. We'd be posted up, ready to take on the world,
Well, the truth is, Gary, we've been posted up. There was all the scheduled protests and all that. I've had to have a small team here, and you were witness to it a couple times. And we're on the roof and we're on the doorways, and it's not like that I want to cause harm to anybody, but the truth is we work so hard. We've gone through so many obstacles that, you know what? I can't. This is a community home. Like, this is a community place, and I got to protect it.
But I don't think anybody could blame you for that. I mean, you're holding on by fibers right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, man. I mean, I already told him if he goes under, I'm taking all his equipment. I'm just playing. But I'm just saying, I don't think anybody here would ever, I don't think anybody anywhere, I think even protesters or non-protesters or whatever, all understand that, hey, you have mouths to feed, you have people to take care of, and you have other people now that you've opened this business to take care of and feed.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't want to get it twisted. Like, I do think of my family, obviously, my two little ones. I have a 3-year-old and I have a 1-year-old, my wife. And like I said, we bet everything we had on this place. But that's not really the only thing I'm thinking about. I mean, I'm thinking of the whole community of everybody that has supported us through all this, that helped us build this. We're still building. There's still people supporting. That's what I think about. I think about keeping the community alive and our legacy alive.
So to see if anybody's listening or watching or both, hey man, next Saturday. Well, no, I can't do next Saturday. Oh my God, I can't do next Saturday. Yeah, my son's graduating. Yeah, but I'm going to pick a day. I got to talk to Abel. But, hey, man, I'm going to throw a little workout together. Whoever wants to come. It's not affiliated with the school. It's affiliated with Gary.
Are you going to fly a pirate flag, or are you going to make it official?
I'm just keeping it whatever,
okay.
On the down low.
Okay.
But we'll do some distancing, training and whatever, But I'm putting it out there. Give me a call.
Hey, listen, that's another frustration. Like, I'm looking around the city. There's other places open, and I'm just like, man, okay. Like, at what point?
Really established places.
Yeah, and and I'm just like, okay. So at what point do I jump in and say, you know what?
I think me and Abel both are
ready to go too.
Into the social media aspect of things, and we keep track of kind of what's going on around us with even just
absolutely,
and training and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, even established places, it's just kind of making me cringe a little bit sometimes. I got nothing wrong with those places, but
hey, you know what? And I can't blame them, because you know what? Maybe they open not because they're trying to be defiant, but they're trying to pay some bills.
But yeah, I I feel about that. I keep telling, I'm not gonna say it out loud here or whatever, and my thoughts about that. But we should open up undercover. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Oh man, no, I think that.
I'm sure my wife's gonna kill me.
I think that what we've done to this point, following the rules, following the guidelines, and being the good examples to our community is the right way to go. People at home are supporting us, but yeah, I mean, also at some point, it has to be reasonable, and we have to be able to work.
We just talked about the COVID stuff and the rioting and.
Well, the COVID is still around. I mean, nobody's talking about it anymore because of all the rioting,
right.
But it's still.
Well,
that's the reason why we're so locked up.
I think knowing people in the healthcare business, both of us are kind of waiting around because I think we're all waiting for that 14-day window or whatever they said.
All right, so here, let's talk about this. So I read from a popular, or I shouldn't say popular, but a mainstream source that. There's 19,000 new cases reported because of all the rioting and all that.
I read the same thing.
Which is interesting to me because I thought that there was a 14-day incubation period. And all of a sudden there's testing for everybody. Listen, I know that you don't like government conspiracies. I understand that.
So I never used to like.
To me, that's a lot of baloney, man. Come on. How can you, 3 days later after these riots and stuff, all of a sudden? Come on, man.
So... quite frankly, I've changed my mind. I pivoted. I'm
not smart, but I'm educated enough to understand that those graphs are just not going to make sense.
The last couple weeks, man, I started reading on stuff, started thinking about things, started watching the news on the riots, and seeing all of a sudden these bricks of pallets out in the middle of nowhere, like
bricks on pallets. on intersections.
where there's no
It's
construction.
like, what's going on?
In the middle of Figueroa and whatever, where there's just, a bunch of stores. Yeah, man, come on. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of like red flags that are going up.
Hey, whatever. Look, listen, our community that supports us and that's with us, we're smarter than all of that stuff. You know what I mean? We're going to keep on working. We're going to keep on keeping our heads on the swivel. And we're going to do what we do and represent as well.
I think people have gotten a little more like, wait, whoa, we need to take a step back because things have gotten better. They're protesting still. I mean, to this day.
You know what? The last protests have been extremely peaceful.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not going to say that the ones before that were extremely violent.
Well, and I think those are kind of going by the wayside because people know that that's not helping anything.
Well, not only that, but I think that people are keeping their head on a swivel. And they're pointing people out. They're pointing people out that shouldn't be there. Like someone's out of place. Hey, dude, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Why are you here? Right? And those people that are out of place are usually looking for trouble.
And we're back.
Yeah, we're back with great news. All right, so we just got into. All right, so the reason why we took this break is because we got somebody knocked on the door. We closed 2 doors behind us so that we can be in here nice and quiet. You know, it's important if somebody's knocking, interrupting while we're talking, and it was very important. So we just got news that Governor Newsom went on the airways saying that gyms can open up.
What we're just talking about, dude. It's
nuts. This is crazy.
Universe stuff.
This is crazy. It was just talking. I mean,
universe, if you will it, it will happen, dude. The universe is.
By the way, check the date. What's the date today?
Today is Friday, June 5th.
I said no later than June 15th.
You did.
Dude, you gotta give me some props on that.
This SOB and this stuff, man. Until I met him, I was never a big guy who did that. We talk about conspiracies. This guy's changing my views on everything.
Hey, listen, my prayer has been. I mean, you guys know I believe in God and whatever. You know, I don't necessarily care what you guys believe. I respect it, but I talk to God a lot. And I literally put it out there no later than June 15th. That's what my prayer has been. I've asked other people to pray with me.
That's almost close to June 15th.
It will be because they said next week, right?
Yeah.
I asked other people to pray with me. Actually, one, Mr. Brett, I asked him to pray no later than June 15th, and he goes, well, how about we pray for whatever God wants? I said, okay, that's good too. I know God wants it to be June 15th.
Well,
Anyways, so that we got interrupted from recording,
dope.
And that was dope. Like, it's only like...
And that just made Friday even more better. Dude.
Yeah.
We are like... Woo! That's pretty awesome, dude.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
So we can legally open. We can legally open in a week from now.
Our grad party for my son Shane, who's graduating.
Even better.
Even better means I can have
better.
Probably have some people over, hang out a little bit, do a little
you know, we still got to be careful.
Careful's great. I love careful, dude.
Okay.
But I'm still throwing out there. Give me a call if you want to train. Give me a call. Just saying. Hey, but the good news is we put the time in on the Zoom classes. If you're not comfortable about coming in here and hanging out with us,
we still got the hybrid program.
We're gonna hybrid that stuff, man. We're gonna make it so you can watch at home while we're doing a live class. And we're gonna post them, and those are gonna be great. I lost. Oh, there we go. Thought I lost something here. But I mean, this is the stuff that we were talking about.
So the hybrid program is there's going to be an actual class here at the studio, and we're going to be recording sound and visual and audio, and we're going to be sending that signal out, and anybody that wants to log in can log in, or you can come here and work out here. Whatever your choice is. If you don't feel comfortable enough coming in yet, then you'll still be able to work out with everybody in a real class. And so you have that choice.
So Mr. Abel used to get me super excited. We'd have long conversations about opening the school and what it's about.
That was a dream too, right?
It was a dream, man. And long conversations, dude. Stuff like last year that we would be sitting in this office and we'd be like, man, can you believe what's happening? Abel would be like, no, it's all right. We're going to make it work. I'd be like...
This is 2 years back.
2 years back, dude. And you're right.
At
2 years back, at least. And I'm like... And he's keeping me alive, dude. We talk about depression a lot. I went through depression. And it was right around that time where I was like up and down with my moods and stuff. And I'd purposely come in and talk to Abel because he was one of those guys who are like, dude, if you think about it, you think like that, it's going to happen like that. If you do like it, it's going to happen like that. All right. Yeah, Abel, you're full of crap. Yeah, go do it. Hey, you know what? I believed. Yeah, I started believing and started thinking that stuff. And I do believe. I think you can will things to happen. I really do. And I think this is pretty freaking amazing that it's happening. I almost said something else right there.
Well,
but freaking is cool, right? I can say freaking.
Of course. Listen, there's a couple things there. There's a couple things there that go into play. One of them is, yeah, you got to have that mentality, right? That any obstacle put in front of you will be shattered, and not by your own intelligence, not by your own force, not by your own strength, but by who backs you, right?
So last week I got such great news.
What was that?
The Lakers are playing. This week, the gym's opening.
It's going to be, yeah.
It's going to be a good summer, man.
It's going to be good, man.
It's going to be a good summer.
You know what?
I'm so happy for Abel because,
I know you know this. I love to work, man.
I'm so happy.
And I felt like I've had my hands tied, you know?
Because he's working on a dream that I've always thought about. I've always said, I'd love to be a school owner. I'd love to be a part of this. I'd love that. And then he started doing it. And then I was like, he's giving me kind of a blueprint here, man. And one day, hopefully, I'll be able to follow those blueprints.
What do you mean, hopefully? I told you this, man. Hey, listen.
All right, one day I will follow those blueprints.
Listen, this is going to happen. The blueprint's there. We're going to strengthen it. We're going to reinforce it. And then, with the support of the whole community, we're going to open another place and another. And we're going to grow, and we're all going to be tied together, continually growing together. I mean, look how much we've done together.
Dude, it's Friday. We just got some great news.
It's good news, man. Oh my God, it makes my.
It's
just like I've had this weight on me all week, and I just couldn't. I said it earlier. I couldn't shake it. I was I was like, wait a minute. I know what this is. This feels like depression, and I'm not gonna go there, And I was doing everything I could to shake it, and I couldn't shake it. We just got interrupted.
Yeah. So
from recording for someone to tell us.
We probably have
Christina
to edit
came in
a little
here.
bit of this because we're just babbling.
That's cool, whatever.
So
Christina interrupted us, and she's like, "Hey, you guys got to hear this. We're allowed to open next week." And oh my God, it's just, I wanted to break the rules before that and open up before that and just kind of be like a speakeasy, and we didn't because we wanted to make sure that we send the right message to our community, and I'm really glad that we held on to that.
So here's the fun part. Because we talk, but we usually talk an hour before we do this podcast and like an hour after and about stuff we missed and whatever. But an hour before this, I was just getting in this guy's head like, we need to go rogue.
Yeah, and you know what? And a big part of me, I'm not going to lie, a big part of me was like, yeah, man, you know what? This is ridiculous. This is far reaching into who we are as Americans. And, I was, part of me wants to do that. And another part of me was like, no, man, we got to send the right message to our community and be a good example to the kids, the teens, and the adults and let them know that we have self-control. We don't just preach it. We do it, And it's tough. It's tough, man. It's tough because anybody that knows me personally knows that I like to pull the trigger. Like, I like to go, like, let's go. All right, So I'm glad that we've been measured, and I'm glad that we've been smart and kept our wits about us, because that's what we preach, that's what we teach. And look at that. Yeah, just like that, we get a green light. We get a green light a week from now to open up the studio, and guess what? We're going to make it the best that we possibly can.
It really does say something on doing things the right way that you keep preaching to me. Like, we can't cut corners.
You can't cut corners, man. It's got to be the best.
I'm like, no, Abel, we need a
Gary, listen, we're putting our name on it. Our name.
So this is an important lesson to everybody, and I don't care what age, because he's much younger than me. He's like 20. And
I'm almost 40.
And
I'm 38.
But that's what I'm saying. It's
July 1st is my birthday.
His wisdom when it comes to business and stuff like that is a wisdom I don't have. There's other things that I can say, hey, when it comes to kids, I can say, hey, you need some advice on this stuff, I can tell you right now, just chill. Listen to what your kids have to say. Blah, 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 blah. But when it comes to business, I was like, no, Abel, we need to go rogue. I need to throw a class, you know, and he's like, yeah, but, you know, think about it when we're doing this, and think about when it should be opening, and he was right. And
yeah, man. You know what? You can't look. What I've learned in
if,
business is that you can't cut corners, man, and especially when you're working with the community. Like,
one thing I will say is the guys who were cutting corners, were just talking about all those other places that were cutting corners. Yeah, man.
Listen, we talked about a book a while back. It's called "Living the Marshall Way." Read it. You know, listen. I didn't just read the book and throw it aside. Like literally, like you. I'm not saying I'm that person living the Marshall way. But I'm trying to listen. I'm trying to fight for my core. I'm trying to do the things that I learned reading that book and other books, you know, and everything points to don't cut corners. Listen, if we can't open up legally, then we shouldn't, you know.
You know, it was kind of cool.
And I'm really glad that we did it because look, it proves that this is working.
So I've been going back to my psychology year, freshman year of college. Yes, I did go to 2 years of college, and no, I did not graduate. But anyways, I was going back to a literature class, and the lady who was a professor at the time, gave me a bunch of books to read. And so I'm not going to read a bunch of books. But I told you guys a few weeks back that I've been going back and I'm trying to read a book a month, you know, whatever that may be, slow, long, small, large. So I started a book, dude, and it's really just blows my mind when all this stuff happened and we're just talking about the will of things. So I started reading The Alchemist, dude.
Oh.
And I had kind of known about it, know the theories, and you know, but I'm really enjoying the book, and I can understand how it's changed people's lives. That book, that small book, you know, and it talks being your own personal legend and you know, the omens and and whatever, however you may feel about it or whatever.
Well, how do you feel about it though?
Oh man, I'm enjoying the book. I really am enjoying it. You know, when you want to be enlightened, that's an enlightening book, you know, and you want to believe, it helps you believe, you know. Is it true? I have no clue if it's true or not, but I will tell you this. In the past couple years, the last 2 years that we've talked, and I say that because we literally have had like conversations where we're either jovial and BSing, and I'm calling him out on his stuff, he's calling me out on my stuff, or we're having like serious discussions about things that are happening around us, you know.
Hey man, we've been in the war room together.
And yeah, and so when I was looking back, I was like, what book should I get? It's really weird, dude. Really weird how I found this book. Because I've heard about it. My son has read it, and he was like, I'm not a big fan. I was like, yeah, it probably won't be either. And then I'm going back, and I'm like, well, I need to read a book. This is a new month. I need to read a book. And I was literally just going through Google Play, and I'm looking different books. And that came up. And it just looked interesting. It just looked, I'll buy it. Click, bought it. Start talking about all this stuff, and bam! It's like, what the heck is going on, man? I'm becoming a believer big time, but you know.
Well, so I mean, but explain to them at home, like what is it entitled? What is it?
It's really one. It's just a good story. It's just a fun short story that Pablo Coelho, I can't say his name right, wrote about this kid Santiago who is going from Spain and looking in search of his life and finding all these things and learning about the alchemist.
That's my son's middle name, by the way, Lucas Santiago.
Is it? Yeah. Nice. It's a good name. And there's a lot behind names. That's a good name. You know, now I'm looking into this stuff. It's like, oh, there's some meaning behind the name. I see. But no, I'm enjoying the book. When I finish it, I can give you a theory, a hypothesis. I can give you
maybe some thoughts behind it, yeah?
Some more thoughts, but as I'm reading, I'm only about halfway through right now, and I'm enjoying it, but it's just really weird how all this shit just seems to pop up when it's like, when we just talk about it, you know?
Talking about getting enlightened, I was listening to AJ on a podcast.
Oh, me too. That was cool.
You know, one of our senior instructors here, and just a
A
man,
very large black man. I'm just quoting Maria Menounos.
AJ is a brain. Like, okay, so like most of you just know him here just by looking at him. He's just a big, strong dude. Like, he's just a beast.
I'm enamored with that gentleman. Right
But
there.
you know what? You talk to him, his brain is bigger than his physical body. He is a smart guy.
Yeah, there's we pat each other on the back around here so much, but the people we do hang with, and AJ being one of them, you learn a lot about a person, just being friends with that person and whatever, training and we've shared a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and over the years, I've really come to understand, like, wow, AJ's really a pretty cool dude.
Yeah,
like,
he's a unique. He's very unique in the sense that, his
he has
background.
he's a
Marine.
So many different skill sets.
Yeah, yeah. He's a sweetheart, but he's a Marine, and the stuff that he was trained to do is completely the opposite. Like on the other side of the spectrum of being a sweetheart. But you know what? He carries his everyday life like that, and it was such a treat to hear him speak. I watched it twice. His podcast.
He really
it was like
did
an
have
hour.
a good-
It was like an hour something podcast, and with Maria Menounos.
Yeah, Maria Menounos.
And
So let's put it this way: when you train with somebody, everybody sees me and thinks I'm a total goofball here. But there's times where I can sit and have a logical conversation with people, and people look at me like, "Whoa, what the heck is up with Gary?" And that's how I've always been with AJ. I've always had that comical whatever and just been buddy like that. But as I've gotten to know the guy, dude, that guy has some serious like skill sets, dude.
yeah,
Like
we
talk about
listen,
people's
he's dodged-
mannerisms, but no, he has skill sets.
and
dude.
he's dodged death at least 7 times.
Guy speaks like 5 or 6 different languages.
Well, yes, and 10 different coding languages, which is insane.
Yeah, and then he was a Marine infantry, so that's a whole skill set on its own.
And he's good looking, has a nice smile.
He's good with the
And
ladies.
he's
dude.
single.
He's good with the ladies.
AJ, we love you, man.
Damn, dude. He's got it all. He's got it all.
Well, all that to say is that I heard him express himself with Maria Menounos' podcast. I don't even know what it's called, but it's a famous podcast, and he was on there, and he was giving his take on some things, and it's very measured, very just his feet were on the ground, and he had his wits about him, and I respect it. You don't have to agree with his perspective, but you do have to agree that he's a warrior that has mastered a couple things. One of them is war, because he's been and lived through it, and the other is dialogue. He can fight or he can talk, and you know what? He could do both. And if you just take a minute and watch that, you're just like, you know what? You don't even have to care what the point is or what his point is, or be on his side or the opposite side. If you just listen to this man, if you don't know him, you should know that he's a measured man, and that what he's saying is for certain reasons, stuff that he's lived through, and those are the perspectives that he's sharing. And we need more people like that.
I will say this with AJ. AJ's one of those guys who I absorb things. I think that's what's unusual about a lot of our group is we absorb things. AJ's just like that. Picks up something, looks at it, observes it, does whatever, figures it out, becomes a master of it. Okay? I'm not saying I do that, but I observe people. I'm somebody who likes to what's Abel doing? Oh, damn, that dude is he knows business, man. I can learn something from him. What's AJ doing? When I first met AJ, I was like, this guy, I didn't know him from a bag of rocks, dude. So I was like, this guy can't fight. This guy's, that's me. Just being
That was
cynical.
a long time ago.
Being cynical and whatever.
Guy's a monster now.
Yeah, and he would jump around the mat. And
Guy's
everything.
untouchable.
Yeah, dude.
On the floor and stand up.
So he's legit. I could maybe bite him and get him off me now, but he's legit. Would kill me.
Yeah, he'd mess someone up.
Let's put it this way. What I'm trying to say is, this guy, I'm kissing his butt out of nowhere.
So what? You know what? So what? He deserves it. You know what? This guy puts in the work.
He's pretty amazing to watch, and the reason why we're both pretty enamored is because He's in the freaking entertainment industry also, man. The stuff that
He's
does.
a sweetheart. Listen, he's not trying to pretend he's something he's not. He's just who he is, and who he is pretty legit, you know?
But it's something to learn, and that's what I'm trying to say. I'm so busy kissing his butt. What I've learned from AJ is to have an open mind and be the sponge, dude, because it takes you in directions you would never know.
Think about this. Look how good he is at a lot of stuff that he does, right? Let's just talk about martial arts. He's really good at certain things in martial arts. Doing Krav Maga, teaching here and all that. But he learns for so many people. His mind is so open. He learns from Chris Newton. You know, he learns all the knife stuff and just a whole bunch, just a different perspective on things. He learns from 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. He trains in just so many different things. Eskrima, you know, with Dennis Long, someone that I had the privilege of studying with as well.
He's done other things,
and,
too.
And it's just, dude, this guy, no matter how good he is already or how much he's learned, he continues to have an open mind and gathers more information and shares information. And those are the kind of people we need. So when I heard him speaking on that podcast and then him sharing his perspective on things that are going on now and all that, you know what? Hats off, man. Nothing but love. I respect it. I respect it deeply. Yeah.
Same. And shoot, we could probably talk about that. If we had a moment to talk about everybody, we'd probably go on forever. But yeah, I'm seeing him on that podcast, so I was like,
that's cool,
yeah, that's my buddy.
It was really cool. He was representing well. He represented well for sure.
I sent him a couple bullet points on how he could have done better on that podcast.
I didn't.
He knows me, though.
I'm still working on my stuff, man.
He knows me, and he knows that I'm full of BS, and I was just trying to throw him off for a loop a little bit.
Man. You know, it's one of those things, like, we're so privileged, like, to have the people around us that we have, and he's one of them.
But he did say he'd come on our podcast.
Yeah, and not only that, but he's bringing some friends, and he has some pretty cool friends.
He has some intelligent friends.
Yeah, so we have a gentleman that works for NASA that will be visiting us, and we do have that third mic there that we're going to be using.
What's crazy is I think we should have his daughter, who is an extremely good musician, maybe put on a little 3-song show for us on our podcast here and play some music because she's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, we're set up for it. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we could absolutely do that.
So big things coming.
Yeah, she does. She does some music production.
Yeah, she's on Spotify. I wish I could remember all her.
I wish. Oh, you know what? We'll get it and then we'll put it on.
Yeah. Because I would love to give. Because AJ throws it out there and then I'm like on it. Like, what do you say?
You've heard AJ get down though?
AJ can get down too, man. That guy, dude. That guy does everything.
I'm telling you, man. That guy's a perfect guy.
He was like, I need to learn how to barbecue. Next thing you know, he's got
smoking meat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it was his first time, and I had the privilege of tasting some of it, and I was like, dude, I've been cooking for like 26 years, and I have never been near this. I hate you.
He had me doing backflips into a foam pit one time. Man, I'm a big chubby guy, man. I don't do backflips into the flip for anybody.
Hey, you know what's funny about this, Mr. Gary, is that like today it's AJ, right? But we could literally choose any of our core group.
Yeah,
and we could
so interesting, right?
And we could do this for any of the guys.
That
you know
is
what
so
I mean?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like Brett, dude. I'd love to have just
Brett, man.
We just talk about
He's a mysterious guy.
That's a
Stan? Dude.
Stan.
A lot of people don't know this.
There's stuff I didn't know about the Stan today that we talked about.
A lot of people don't know this. It's Dr. Stan.
That's what I'm saying.
Doesn't even go by it.
So don't get me wrong. I knew he was a pharmacist, but I had no clue he had the acronym.
Yeah,
also,
you know what? His
Dr.
feet.
Stan Hill.
Listen, his feet are. He doesn't need it. His feet are. He knows who he is. Feet are on the ground. He knows who he is, what he does. But he is a doctor.
So true story.
He doesn't go by it though, and he's also the master instructor here.
True story. Cool little story. I don't know what he made me, but when I was sick, we had a little food tree going because Gabby was working full time and having to take care of me, and we weren't able to get dinners and stuff. So we had a little food tree. People would bring me over. Dude, my Croft family is so amazing. You know, there were 90% of the people that I leaned on when I was really sick. So I got to thank everybody for that.
For the people that just tuned in that don't know what he's talking about, Gary fought through cancer and beat the crap out of it. So that's what he's talking about.
But so we had a little food tree going, and Stan brought something over. And Stan's like AJ. He was like, man, I think it was enchiladas. He's like, I made these enchiladas. I'm not sure if you like them. I made them for the first time. Eat them if you want. Throw them away. I don't care. I'm just here having a seat. And that's Stan,
I brought
right?
something. Yeah,
I brought stuff in. But I was so thankful, I was
of
like,
course.
oh, man. Just the people that brought me food were amazing. And a couple of the people that you're mentioning now, are some of my guys that, dude, I go to the bar. I go to the mats for these guys.
Yeah.
And, it's
absolutely.
like, I can name a few right now, but it's another time because we're gonna move on. But I can name so many that, I would go to the mats for, dude.
Absolutely.
They asked me to.
Someone that I think it's fair to even mention is Paul Wisdom. That guy.
Another
listen,
guy, man.
If you look at that studio, if you literally walk out of our production area here and just walk out 2 doors and look around, he pretty much touched everything out there. Him and Brett just built this studio, and
so
there's not a studio without Paul Wisdom. I mean, that's just.
Abel was able to put the funding together, but the guys who actually, don't get me wrong, we all put our little blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, but these guys were the guys behind it.
Two guys that were the cause of all this, like they made it happen.
Yeah,
dude. Because Abel makes things happen, but Paul and Brett.
Well, my connection with them. Otherwise, if I didn't have them, I wouldn't have the power that I had to build this place.
So if anybody hasn't seen our bag rack, one day we're going to have to do a show.
Just on the bag rack alone.
Yeah.
The way it's engineered and the way it was put together.
So I'm telling you, we could sell a ton of, I'm an opportunist. I'm like, Paul, we need to.
Listen, there's no metal touching the grounds.
Yep.
So it doesn't take any square footage away from you, from your place. It's all supported. The way he engineered it is genius. And it's on a trolley system. You can move stuff back and forth. You can lock it in different places. That's not even including the Gates of Wisdom, which is that massive wall over there with the 18-foot opening. Tall. It's 18-foot tall doors. And then he built this these doors there's 4 doors that collapse on each other to close it, to make it individual mats, or collapse on each other to make it one complete massive mat of 3,800 square feet.
So I can talk about that.
He thought of everything.
I can talk about Paul all day long.
The guy's a sweetheart too, man.
He's one of the first guys I met doing Krav Maga.
Hey, he grew up in the hood too. He grew up in Norwalk.
Yeah,
he lives in Huntington. Oh, he actually lives in Newport now, but he lived in Huntington for a long time, and then.
That guy, man, looked out for me. Still looks out for me. I'll get a
does.
call out of random places. Although I will say this, Paul, I have texted you before, and I forget how elderly you are. And,
wow, he's gonna punch in the face, man.
And you can't.
By the way, I got my black belt when training with Paul. If it wasn't for Paul, that guy kept me on. Dude, he kept me on a short leash. Abel, you showing up to work out today? I'm gonna show up there. If you don't show up, and it was just like, man, dude, if I don't show up, he's not gonna have a partner.
I don't think
so
people
he kept me on check, man.
Right there, I know he's close to you, and he's closer. He's closer than just the black belt. But to me, he brings a tear to my eyes sometimes because, dude, I was going through some dark times, and then we talk about universe and stuff.
Yeah.
There was one night I was by myself at home. I don't know where my family was, and I was just feeling really down, just so down, and out of nowhere, Paul called me. Out of nowhere. He said, hey, I was thinking about you, man. And I know how much you mean to me. And I just wanted to let you know that I was thinking about you and I love you, man. For a grown man to say that to another grown man who's going through some stuff I get choked up. I'm sure you can see it right now.
Yeah, I can see it.
I get
whatever,
choked
man.
up.
It's cool.
But I don't get choked up like it wasn't a cool thing to do. It showed me how to be a man. That's what a man does is able to say, hey, my buddy's in trouble. I think I feel something. I need to give him a call.
Yeah, man. He saw that we were trying to build this place, and he's like, how much time you have? I was like, we have 2 weeks to open this place. He goes, what? 2 weeks? He's like, Abel, I was like, Paul, I know. And he goes, all right, we're going to figure this out. And he called in a bunch of favors. I don't know if you know this, but he was huge in the construction kind of scene and all that, and he called favors in for us. And one of the reasons why we were able to open December 14th, 2 weeks after we said we were, or 2 weeks after we close the other one was because he called in favors and he did that for us. And
we went,
man, without that guy, we wouldn't have a studio.
we
and
went from like this warehouse looking like there was nothing.
it was empty.
in here.
It was an empty warehouse.
Literally, we walked in here.
6,400 square feet of empty warehouse.
What the heck?
Yeah.
You know, there's so many possibilities. You could not imagine what we have. And I invite everybody, if you
Come check it out, man. It's a
check it
beautiful
out.
thing. The way he engineered it, it's not just like a put together. It's like a well thought out. I mean, the wheels that he put on the doors, the way that they don't put any pressure on the walls, the way that he hung the trolley system. It's just, man, it's just beautiful.
The bag rack alone, how he set it up so that it's not all taking all the weight on in one area.
It's so
it's
insane.
throughout the wall, and it's never going to come down.
He knows what's up, man.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
And then just beyond that, like, man, there was so many dark times. And like you said, like there were so many dark times in those 2 weeks. I felt like I was just in this hole. And then there's people like him that come around and just like, hey, listen, I know who you are, and let me remind you who you are, because you might have forgotten who you are. And then you get back to it, man. You're like, this guy just talked to me, and let's get back to it,
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah, it's amazing. He's super positive, he's always showing love. But he went through his own problems, dude. The man literally was like walking around with a thing to keep his heart going. And he was still
twice.
And he was still calling me when I was out of surgery, going, "Hey, I'm just making sure you're all right." And I'm like, "What are you talking about, man? How are you feeling?"
But that's how much love that guy has.
Yeah, man.
You know what? He has 2 sons, and they're phenomenal children to him and to the community.
So one of his sons lives in Hawaii, and I've been there several times.
Yep, and he serves our country.
Paul called his son and said, Gary's going up there, and
so cool.
And they helped us out big time with different locations to go and stuff. So I'm just saying, we're like family, man. There's no friend. It's family, dude. It's definitely family.
That's what's up
when it comes to Paul. Yeah, for sure.
Yep, for sure, man. I don't even know how we got talking about Paul.
I don't know.
Whatever. Maybe we just need some love, man.
I think we need to do have a little outpour right there because we heard that news and it was like.
These other people
start talking about people.
This is the reason why we're still open, man, because of these people. And you know what? I've been talking to people the last couple of weeks, actually the last 3 weeks. I've been really talking to people, and there's so many people still supporting us. And we're still paying the employees, and we're still paying rent. And
it's funny. Here's the thing.
I'm not paying myself, but we're keeping it afloat, and it's gonna.
How
it's gonna get together.
I always tell this guy, man, do what you got to do, man, to keep yourself afloat. I love everybody here, but I can be just as crude and whatever.
Man.
They're like, hey, man, fire all those guys.
No.
Yourself.
No. So here's the thing, like, all these people, including you, man, have put your hands in the fire for me and what my vision was, and whether it was a second, whether it was a minute, 10 minutes, that hand was in the fire. And you know what? Now it's just the other way around. I'm in a position where I can support you guys and figure it out. And my wife and I are trying to figure it out for all of us, and we will. We'll figure it out for all of us. We do it for each other, and you guys showed it to me, and I have to show it back. I have to support you guys. I got your back too,
So what's fun about days like this, where all of a sudden we start the BS just comes out, right? And we just like. Yeah.
I'm like exercising the demons right now, man. It's like, man, you guys have no idea. Like,
there's nothing wrong with it.
There's
in fact,
there's sacrifices being made. I think that's the whole thing behind this. You know what I mean? It's like,
if you look at all the craziness that's happened over the past just 3 months, 4 months, since January. Yeah, this is insane, It's just insane. So I think that's what it is a little pressure relief right here that we're doing,
I think so, and I apologize if it's coming any certain way out there, but the truth is it's all love, man, and it's taking a lot of work, a lot of resources, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, which is what bonds us, and we're just kind of pointing that out. There's people here that are key that without them, this couldn't have happened. There's a whole instructor team behind this. There's a whole construction team behind this. People that are taking care of the adult programs, the kid programs. Mr. Will with the kid programs. Dude, that guy's been die hard, man. And with the adult programs, we got Mr. Gary, Ryan, and a whole bunch of the team. And even people that are not in front of a camera or behind a camera, there's people here that are constantly here cleaning and keeping the place up, and it's a whole army.
Well, and that's like I don't know who I was talking to, and asked me why I jump on when Ryan teaches, because I feel that Abel and Stan both had named me one of the senior instructors. So
Absolutely.
With that being said, was like, hey man, I'm gonna jump on Zoom and just make sure everything's cool.
Absolutely.
Hey, what's going on? And one of the days I was actually able to help out. I wasn't trying to like take over anything or whatever. And your guys' sound went out, and I just so happened to jump on.
Yeah, I remember that. So for the people that don't know, so we had a Zoom class going on. I don't know what happened, but our iPad went out.
Yeah, your sound kept
So
going
it was
out
like the main one taking the video of the instructor. It went out, and luckily you were logged in, and then it was almost natural. People just kind of looked to you. You started talking, and then he kind of took over the class.
It was like a solid 1 minute, but 1 minute's a long time.
It's a long time on Zoom.
When people are like
on
looking
Zoom.
for
Like what's going on, right?
what's going on.
And there was about 40 something people on the Zoom class, and so I'm glad that you were able to be a leader there. You know what I mean? Just jump in.
I felt bad. I was like, do I do it? Do I do it? So I
absolutely.
unmuted myself, and I was like, hey, all right, so let's go. Right, they're having technical difficulties.
But that's what it's about, man. It's a whole team, you know?
And that's my point. So my point is I felt like, hey, man, I had an obligation. I'm a part of a team. Let's do it. That's what I want the rest of our instructors to be like. I'm a part of a team. Let's do it. Let's get to it. And we're here, stage 3, baby. I'm so
stage 3, baby.
I'm so excited.
And there's a lot of stuff that I promised all the members that are still supporting us, and those promises will be fulfilled. Just like we said before, we don't cut corners. If I promise something, then you're going to get it. We promised some seminars, some clinics. We promised a special shirt that we actually have done. It's just a matter of pulling the trigger on that. God, I'm so excited. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah,
man.
I
feel like I'm gonna sleep for 2 days.
I think I'm looking at all our notes and stuff, and I'm like, hey, let's just talk about crap today, man.
It's just like it's just guys, you don't know. Like it's just been such a heavy.
It's a load. It's definitely a load, especially for you, dude. You're right in the middle of it.
I was telling Gary
we can keep talking about all that stuff.
Yeah, I know. It's just God. It's just I'm so happy to hear that.
That
we can open.
Dude, I'm like, I want to hug the guy. I want to hug everybody because that's big news.
It's huge news, man. Hey, listen, 3 months. 3 months paying rent, 3 months paying overhead, 3 months paying employees. And the only reason why that was able to be done was because of you guys supporting us, and because of the team that we have together, and because of the blood, sweat, and tears that we deposited together, and the history that we have. We have a long history, man.
For sure, man. And it's going to continue. That's the fun part of it. That's the fun part. I'm getting closer to all these guys that, because of this pandemic, I see you, I see Brett, I see Christina, I see Chris, I see Mr. AJ every once in a while. But those are the core. That was like when we talk about moving and doing whatever. Yeah. Kind of our core group.
Well, even through this, like, there's days that I'm here alone. And, when I say alone, I mean with Brett and Christina and Gary usually here. So I'm not always alone. But there's days that everybody's doing their own thing. And, like Chris would approach me, hey, Mr. Abel, with all due respect, like, I understand that you got it, you got your thing going on, you're busy, you're doing whatever. But can I interest you in maybe training this with me? He's teaching me new things, He has a different perspective on a lot of things, and he has multiple black belts and a whole bunch of stuff. And he's doing that out of love, He's just saying, hey, listen, we know that everything's going a weird way right now, and it's kind of in this like limbo kind of area. But you still got to continue learning, continue training. Let's learn this. Let's do that. The other day we did knife fighting, and before that it was like something else, and we did some stick fighting and stuff.
It's fun.
And he's always trying to like say, hey, you got to continue learning because you're leading a group here, and you got to continue learning. And you know what? Every single day, Gary, AJ, Chris, all these people, Ryan, just remind me that I got to be a better person, man.
Yeah, it's fun because when you hear Chris, and I don't like to take advantage of people. I'm always like, no, I can't do that. No, 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 no. I don't want to accept that. No, no, no. And when I keep telling Chris that I want to, get rid of the panza, and he's like, dude, come on, I'll train you. You know what's going on.
And he means that like,
no,
I'm not going to charge you.
He means,
I want you to just get together with
like,
me.
He doesn't want to charge me.
Yeah,
He just wants to do it
because he knows we're the core group.
But I also get like, I don't want to take advantage of you.
You know that guy has a master's degree?
Yeah, in BS.
And no, man, that guy.
I am Chris. I know you don't.
Everything Chris has done to this point, getting his black belts and all that, it all has to do with nutrition. It all has to do with martial arts, with body mechanics. It all has to do. Dude, this guy has dedicated his life to be a martial artist, like straight up. Like,
yeah, that's pretty
everything
cool.
he does in his life, day to day, has to do with being a martial artist.
The funny part of it is what I was trying to say is I might take him up on it now because we can train, but
well, you guys have a beautiful facility that you guys can do it at.
Yeah, right back here, man. But yeah, I just it's more like these guys are amazing, man, because when they're especially like a guy like Chris or whatever, this guy got hit by the COVID and the riots and like no other person. I mean, the guy's a personal trainer. The guy just said, hey, just before this, things are going different. I'm going to move to Vegas. Oh, man, it's completely shut down. So I give it up to him for being able to adapt and move around. That's the fun part because that's what I'm talking about is looking at these guys who are adapting and still giving. That's what I'm saying. It's still giving.
Still giving, yeah. And, he's been extremely supportive of the school as well. In his own ways, he's been supportive. And, man, it's just, I'm very thankful to have these people around me, the whole team,
So, what's the plans for the weekend?
Man,
You gonna train now?
I was going to chill out this weekend. I told Gloria that I was going to cook all weekend and we're going to do this and that. And I think I'm going to work, man. Just work.
I'm pretty pumped.
Probably not.
I'm pretty pumped. I think I might be back here tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Well, you've been coming in on Saturdays and doing your...
Trying. But I think I'm going to come back here and I'm going to throw it out to some of...
Well, the thing is, too, is I do got to... We have 30... For you guys that don't know, we have 31 instructors and that's no joke. 31 instructors.
And I want to see these guys, man.
Yeah.
Where are you guys?
Yeah.
Hey, come on, let's go.
Yeah, some of them, we've kind of, we just got to just get everybody back on board and making sure that they know what the protocol is, knowing that we're moving forward with all this, man. Like, I got to reach out to them today, between today and tomorrow.
Things are good.
I got to send something out and be like, hey, guys, we're going to be open next week, man. What's
we're
up?
headed down the right direction.
Yep, absolutely.
We're headed down.
Now, are things going to look the same before we left? No, we're going to have to make a big adjustment to it and then slowly adjust back to our regular schedule.
Well, we talked about that.
A lot of
modifications are going to happen.
Yeah, a lot of you guys know how many classes, but I mean, if you look at our old schedule, dude, we had a ton of classes, man.
And it might just look different, though.
It's going to look a little bit different, but we'll work our way back to it.
But like we were talking about before, it might look like we don't have as many classes, but I keep saying we're probably going to look like we have more classes because we're probably breaking down for a little while.
It's going to be broken down differently.
A little bit different.
Yeah.
It means that we're going to have to pull some more classes out of our hat to make it comprehensible for everybody and making sure it's safe. And
absolutely.
That's our next step, dude. How exciting is that? Is it making
let's talk about that. Like, like cleanliness, right? All right. So before it was cool to like have certain type of chemicals and do certain type of protocol on the mat, we were already doing it. And I'm proud to say that because you know what? Our school has always been tip top. And as long as they had my name on it, man, there was going to be certain cleaning procedures. And we've only taken that to an extreme. What I mean by that is that like the type of chemicals that we use is something called Can Clean. You guys can look it up. Dude, it kills everything. It even says coronavirus on there. Like we've been doing that. Get this, right? How long has this been around, coronavirus? We've been doing that for at least 2 years back. When I was managing Beat City's Krav Maga, I was already using that. Nobody told me to do that. Like we did that already, right? And we just brought those same practices over here. Now, on top of that, we're cleaning like constantly. What I mean by constantly is that as soon as a mat gets used, I don't care if it was one person, if it was 20, that's getting cleaned the same way. We're spraying it all down, wiping it all down, right? As soon as we're done with that, the mop heads, all that stuff gets thrown in the washer, gets washed, doesn't get used until it dries up, and then we reuse it, right?
So yeah, the cleaning process has always been unreal around here. Brett's done a great job for you here.
Yeah, man.
For us, I should say.
It's funny because it's a combination of a couple things. It's like my ADHD, like always looking at like it could be annoying, I guess, for some people, but for Brett, it's actually like it's okay with him because he's so meticulous about how he cleans something, what he uses, what chemicals he uses, what rag he uses, what kind of mop heads he uses. Like, there's been times where I've bought like stuff thinking that, oh, this will work. Like, he'll specifically tell me what to get. I'll bring something else, and he's just like, I can't use this, and he won't use it. He literally makes me take it back and get what he asked for because that's the way he pairs it with whatever chemical or whatever, you know what I mean? Because he wants it to be clean and wants it to be healthy for everybody, you know what I mean?
But that's how it should be done, right?
Yep.
I mean, everything, and we're going to set a standard. That's what we talked about.
Yeah, man. Throughout all this, like, I think that a positive of this is that schools that weren't doing that are going to have to step up their game. If they don't, that's it. They're lost in the dust. But for people that like us that have been keeping up with that already, we're like, whatever, dude. We've been doing this since before it was cool, and we're only going to step it up. So yeah.
And the fun part of it is there's certain things that I agree with, and I tell Abel right away. Like, we just had this discussion literally an hour ago, and I was like, in our curriculum, we need to talk about cleanliness.
You know what? And it's like one of those things that you just figure that people know, but they don't.
Yeah,
they don't. Like, for example, like why you would want to, like, okay, like, so if you have shoes on, okay, and you're on the mats, why do we say, make sure that you pick a pair of shoes that you only use in this facility? There's a reason for that. And it's to keep people healthy, and it's to keep things clean, right? If you're not going to use shoes, that's okay too. But make sure you bring some sandals. Why? Because if you start walking around in the restroom or common areas, you might pick something up with your feet and spread it, right? Or get it yourself. There's so many things, right? Like after you train, whether you change your clothes or not, right? How long does it take for you to shower after you train, right? All those things either let bacteria grow or you kill bacteria or any type of virus. If you're showering or using certain kind of soaps and all that stuff, like the kind of soaps that we sell here, all that stuff is there's a reason why we say it to do it, right? But maybe we have to explain more and make sure that students understand why we do all that.
So the once a week that I take a shower.
Yeah, that's probably not going to work.
Oh.
Yeah, you got it. Like tea tree oil, like that we use in the soaps that we sell. All that stuff combats everything that you would pick up on a mat, all right? Or skin-to-skin contact or sweat or any of that stuff.
And I think what a lot of people don't get, even with like barbershops and hairdressers and martial arts schools, a lot of martial arts schools are already preaching cleanliness. We don't want to do this because there's a lot of other things that happen in martial arts schools that you can pick up. And they were already doing, a lot of people were already doing that stuff. If they weren't, they definitely
dude, like
now.
ringworm, MERS, like all that stuff, it's like real, like serious stuff, man.
Dude.
It's serious stuff. You could lose a limb because of that stuff. You know what I mean?
You can just get rashes. You can just get dirty germs on your hand, there's all kinds of stuff. But I think that's what's cool, dude, that we're already doing that stuff. We've
been doing it, baby. That's right.
Dude.
We don't cut corners. We've talked about this.
We always talk about being the standard and not being the people that just follow everybody, but being the standard. So that's pretty cool. Other thing is that I found out yesterday, now with all this excitement, is Huntington Beach is still having the parade. We talked about as a school maybe being involved.
The 4th of July parade?
Yeah.
Dude.
Being involved with the parade.
Sign us up. Where do we sign?
Yeah. I got to find out, man. I definitely got to find out. Because
how cool would that be? Look, think about it. I keep on saying this, but we've had so many obstacles, and we're like the Matrix, man. We're like dodging them, right? And we're just like, we're making it through this. How cool would it be to just represent the city, represent where we live, our culture, just the people that we have that supported us, and walk through the city and just be like, we're still here.
And it's just good for our school, man, just to show that
let's do it.
Hey, man. Hey, that was pretty cool too. The other day I was actually driving down the street. And I was Westminster, and I saw our school jacket on a kid riding a
Oh,
bike.
yes.
Yeah. I was like, yeah.
You should have honked.
I did honk, and I think I scared the hell out of the kid. But I couldn't find my phone. I was looking for my phone.
Just take a picture? Yeah, that would have been really cool.
Couldn't get it out of my pants pocket. Yeah. So that's cool. I'm my train of thoughts all over today because I'm like,
well, we're excited. We just got some great news. Like, that's not the route we thought we were going.
Yeah. Man, I had to talk him down off the ledge about 2 hours ago, man. So it's like, yeah.
I was just telling Gary that, I was telling Gary and Brett that I was like, like, I know, like, the type of feelings that I was getting, I was like, it sounds like depression to me, man. I ain't no fool. Like, I ain't going down that route. And I was trying to fight it.
Man, it's easy for people to get through. People don't realize that confident people are the most susceptible.
Not only that, Mr. Gary, but I'm going to tell you the truth, man. Like, when you have to be positive for a whole team, it becomes heavy, man.
Yeah, I believe it. No, you don't.
And
that's why there's mornings out of nowhere I'll just text you.
No, I appreciate it, man.
What is you get your ass up out of bed?
I appreciate it.
Man.
My wife, AJ, and a couple other you guys do it too. Paul Wisdom, like is his name that keeps on recurring, but he's like behind the scenes. He's always doing that. Mr. Guy does it. The handful of other people do it. Like they check on me because they're like probably thinking, man, you know what? That's he's gonna have to deal with a lot of stuff.
So think about this, dude. You gotta. I mean,
shout out to Mr. Omar that's called me like 3 times this week. He probably heard my voice or something, man. But he's been checking on me too.
So learning is growing, right? So I told this guy, I was like, one day I want to do a podcast. He was like, let's do it. I was like, yeah, let's do it.
No, I meant let's do it.
Yeah. No. But now we have a freaking whole studio, dude.
But before this, what did we have before this?
Yeah, but we were doing it.
My point.
I was happy with that.
Exactly my point. We're doing it.
Right now, I'm like, what the heck?
Well, you know what? I wanted to make sure that to be honest. Okay, so you said, I want to do a podcast. I believe 110%. Let's do it. I'm going to back it. Let's do it. And so we got. It was a good mic, right? It was a known mic. Whatever.
It was a good mic.
It was working. Whatever. Yeah. But then I was like, you know what? We really are putting in the work. And Mr. Gary has stuck with it. I've stuck with it. Let's do it. Let's do it for real.
He couldn't stand that he heard I'm always hitting the table. He couldn't stand that.
Well, no, it goes back to saying like cutting corners and just if you're putting your name on it, try to produce and make the best product and give the best product that you can.
Check that. You can probably barely hear that I'm touching.
You're going to drive me crazy trying to edit that. But yeah, you know what? That's cool. I mean, it's very different. Before, if you did that, it would drive the whole thing crazy. You know what I mean? But now we have like a real, it's like a real soundstage. It's a professional soundstage.
It's an insane setup, dude. I'm so like, we're training, we're doing videos, we're doing Zoom classes, we're doing podcasts. What the heck is going on
listen,
here,
guys.
man?
What
the heck is going on?
What it did was this. So we were just a martial arts studio that trained in Krav Maga, self-defense, and real life scenarios. And then we just taken it to the next limit because you know what? We're not going to stop the online library that we're building. We're not going to stop the Zoom classes, live classes that we're doing. And now we added this whole thing, this podcast where we can maintain people tied in together. And guess what? I was talking to Ryan the other day, and Ryan's like, you know what? After every exam, because the exams are major, why don't we get the people that are spearheading the exams and talk about how the test went? I was like, what? Dude, that's such a good idea. When I was going up through the ranks, I always wondered what my instructors thought. You'll be able to hear it now. All right?
Hey, man, I got a lot of opinion. You know that.
It's a good thing, having this because I really, truly think that it just ties everything together. I really think so.
So I'm excited, just to say the least.
Listen how good that sounds. We're back.
We got to double check all that just to make sure.
Hey, listen, we never
fact check.
We never been gone, baby. We're back.
Hey, man, I'm choked up. Not really.
This is good. This is good news, man.
Not really.
This is good news.
Yeah, but all kinds of stuff. It's gonna be a good weekend. 4th of July is coming up. We're just around the corner. Summer's gonna be popping off, right, man? Like we've been talking about. But just stay safe.
I'm going to tell you guys another thing. I'm going to change gears a little bit, not too much, but you know, a type of business like this before was seen as like, oh, well, like you go do that stuff if you have like extra money. Like, you know, like, oh, you're going to go to do martial arts. Oh, that's cool. Like, yeah, if you have extra money, like, yeah, you go do that. I'll tell you what, after what's happening with the COVID and closing everything down and the way people have been acting with each other and
That's
and
funny
then
you're saying this.
protests,
I know where you're going down.
and then protests, and then riots and all this stuff. I'll tell you what, we haven't become a business that goes by the wayside. We become essential, and what I mean by that is that if you're going to school, if you're going home, if you're going to work, if you're going to go get some ice cream, if you're going to go get some dinner with your wife, or if you're taking your daughter down for a walk down the street, guess what you need? You need to learn some self-defense. And we've learned it from stuff hitting the fan. And it hit the fan, and guess what? There was a lot of people out there doing a whole bunch of dumb things, and there was a bunch of people out there not knowing how to react to these things or how to defend themselves from it. And guess what we do every day?
I agree, man.
That's what we teach. So, all this pain and suffering, man, to just say, we've been essential, man. If you're traveling abroad, what do you need to know? Some self-defense. If you're going to work, what do you need to know? Some self-defense. If you're going to school, what does your kid need to know? Some self-defense. Get home safe.
I'd even take it a step farther. I mean, I think everybody's lives have changed because of this pandemic. I'll take it a step further, man. I think it's essential that what we teach, awareness, self-defense, safety, so much of that stuff that we do and teach is going to be a part of our everyday life now.
Absolutely.
So I think it's, like you said, more essential than anybody could ever have thought. You know what I mean? I think we're in a whole new part, in a whole new place that we need to grow.
I'm going to take it real extreme right now, but I'm sure you guys have heard of like preppers. When all this stuff started happening with the COVID, guess what? Guess who the cool people were?
Yeah.
The preppers. And they were probably saying, I told you so. Right? When everybody was looking for toilet paper and they couldn't find it, the preppers were doing this. Yeah, we got some. We're good. We don't have to worry about that. Groceries, all that stuff, selling out. Oh, we're good. We got some. Right? Similar to that. It's just like we've been essential, man. You need this stuff. You need to learn this stuff. This is like riding a bike, like learning how to swim, like learning how to balance your food and what to eat. This is an essential thing.
Well,
you need it.
And you can look at it that way too. But we also train safety. And a lot of people don't realize that we've had other things where we've learned how to do a little bit of a triage. We've learned how to prepared for.
Yeah, so I guess the general thing is like, okay, you can easily break someone or break something. It's easy to break stuff, right? Like, think about construction. It's easy to be on the demolition side of things. It's difficult to build, right? So same thing here in martial arts or in self-defense. It's easy to break someone, but it's not easy to put them back together. So a step, once you hit first degree, second, third degree black belt, these are things that you start adding to your toolbox. Is like, okay, you've made someone bleed. How do you stop that bleeding? You hurt someone, maybe with a force multiplier, maybe whether that be a knife, a sword, whatever it was, a gun. How do you stop that person from bleeding if your intentions wasn't to kill them, but it was to stop the threat to you or your family members? All that stuff, it's power, it's knowledge, it's ways to save somebody's life, right? Or even if you go into a place where there's already people that are hurt, bleeding, or bleeding out, and you're able to save their lives.
Well, I've talked about this for a long time, and hopefully we'll get Officer Doug. Hopefully we get Doug involved, because I talked about gun safety.
Absolutely, Doug.
Learning,
wealth of knowledge. Yep.
Yeah, just so everybody's always enamored that I don't have a gun or I don't, but I believe in gun safety. I believe that if I know how to defend myself against a gun, I should know how to take the clip out. I should know how to disarm a weapon, and I should know all the ins and outs. I should know how to shoot a weapon.
And for you people going crazy at home, because he keeps on calling it a clip, it's a magazine. But people,
magazine,
yeah.
whatever.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean.
But we have people like our very own Captain America, Eric Himmler. You know, he's a chief of Santa Monica Fire, and he's also in SWAT, and he serves the community. And you know,
And
there's another person.
he was in the mud this whole
Oh
last
my
couple
goodness,
weeks.
man! I've been praying for that guy because that guy, he's been straight up like front and center.
Yeah.
There's actually a video out. He didn't know that his helmet camera was on, and he's driving in a fire department issued vehicle. He's in the passenger seat, and his camera picks up the moment where somebody throws. He's just driving, he's in the vehicle where they're driving,
Right.
and all of a sudden, somebody throws a rock through the window and hits his person. You know what I mean? And the camera catches it all. Luckily, he was good and he's safe. But that's the kind of stuff they deal with. And this is a person that's representing the fire department. He's just trying to save lives.
And he's the sweetest guy ever.
Dude, he's a
it's like,
sweetheart.
It's like, holy moly,
You know?
man. Yeah, like, stuff happening like that. Man, holy crap. But yeah, we talk about safety. We talk about that. And just defending yourself. You see a lot of people with mixed opinions. You could just look a certain way and somebody could come at you with opinion. You could just be, minding your own business. And nowadays, somebody could say something.
Listen, nowadays minding your own business isn't enough.
Yeah.
You could be somewhere where you're going to get caught in the middle of something, and you got to learn how to cope with it, how to deal with it, and how to get out of it safely.
So I think we deal with like a broad range of things. We're not just on groundwork. We're not just on this. We deal with so much.
Well, we've said it. We're not all kicks and punches. It has so much to do with so many other stuff. And there was a story that I said a couple podcasts back that, I never had to throw a punch. All I said was, there's a whole bunch of cameras here. I can't wait to cash in on this. It's going to be caught on camera. I'm going to let you beat me up. And that person literally just turned around and left. I mean, if you don't ever have to throw a punch or a kick, good for you. That's
I think we're also teaching. I know I say it a lot in my classes. Verbal de-escalation is a big thing, and we're going to see that change over this time. I think that's the one thing that's going to come out of this. There's going to be a lot of teaching of de-escalation, and it's really easy to do. I mean, it's just a matter of doing it and knowing the signs and how to do it.
There's some stuff, I mean, not to give too much away, and we usually don't talk about this, but there's some stuff that we do for our black belt test, right? For our first degree black belt test, it's escalation and de-escalation of a situation. And it's as important as knowing how to throw a jab.
So much important. I mean just as
you might
important.
never have to throw that jab. If you learn that lesson properly, how to de-escalate something, you may never have to use any of this stuff, man. And that's the point. That's what you pay for. That's what you pay for this training for. That's why you put blood, sweat, and tears on. It's so that you don't have to use this, So escalation and de-escalation of a situation, right? Sometimes you have to escalate. There's certain times where you have to, but if you're able to keep your wits about yourself and understand the situation and scenario, and you're able to de-escalate, well, then fantastic.
And
great.
Then just understanding that you don't have, if people think that, I've been in a situation, I can throw down, I can do. No, I think nowadays it's called the tool bag for a reason. You got to have many tools for many reasons.
Mr. Gary, you'd be surprised how many people I get, like, any martial arts experience or whatever. Oh, yeah, I've gone in a lot of street fights or whatever. And I just smile. I just kind of give them a little nod. Like, yeah, okay. Listen, people that are trained are very different than people that are just, I got in the street fight or two. Like, training goes a long way.
And people who've been in a lot of street fights also can tell you they don't want to get in too many more street fights.
Yeah, they're not fun.
They're dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you get those amped up dudes or you get amped up, but usually right afterwards you're regretting every moment of it. And
God, especially nowadays, there's so many repercussions to all this stuff, man.
Yeah.
Like, straight up, you could lose your livelihood.
You can lose your job. You can lose your family. You can lose all kinds of
your freedom.
Stuff. Yeah, your freedom. Yeah, it goes to many extents. So yeah, I'm excited because I already know what I'm gonna teach. Like, I've been planning this stuff out. Like, I've been talking about it on my Zoom classes about awareness and 2-on-1
I'm going to tell you something,
drills
Mr. Gary. You thought I was going hard before? And if I made it through all these obstacles, you told me this. Look, this was a candid conversation before any of the cameras were on or the mics were on. You said something to me, and it was true. It is true. Even if you say you're messing around right now, it was true. You said, Abel, right now, you look like a president, right? That started their presidency and has been 4 years through it, and now you got the gray hair and all that, and you look beat up, and you've been through some stuff. And I said, you know what? Yeah, that's true. You know, it's okay.
You look like poo-poo.
But you know what?
Hey, man.
Hey, but you know what? I made it through it.
You know.
I'm still here, baby. I'm still here like DMX. I ain't going anywhere.
Hey, you know what's funny?
I'm still here.
You want to ever get a perspective on like nature and life and all that? Look at Nature is Metal. You ever see that?
Yeah.
And that'll tell you right there, we're nothing in the spectrum.
Yeah.
Because
on Instagram, the Nature's Metal. Yeah, that's some crazy stuff on there.
Shout out to Nature's Metal.
Yeah, they have there's a picture of a lion. Yeah. And he's like, I think he's even missing an eye. It's like, like there's like a scar going through, and then the eye is all grayed out. It's a real picture. It's a real lion that's lived through that.
I mean, it's not for everybody, but they post some great videos about what nature really is about.
Yeah, heads up on that because you don't want the kids clicking on that stuff. But it's real life. And guess what? I may come out with some scars. I may come out with some gray hairs, but you know what? If I make it through and I make it through with you guys, man, it was all worth it, baby. Especially if I still have the breath to continue on this and grow and work harder for it. Come on, man. If I did it before, my mouth is watering right now, baby. I'm about to get this.
Are you excited now since stage 3? Well, I say stage 3, but I don't know if it's stage 3. If it's just some improvisations. I got to do the fact check on this. But I'm so excited because now I can not only, if it's stage 3 and they're saying it's stage 3 and they're saying the gym's open, I can go to the movies again. Oh my God.
I don't even care about the movies right now.
I love the movies.
I care about throwing some leather right now, man.
I can throw leather whenever I want.
You know how much I love the movies. But this is about this is our place, man.
If I want to throw some leather, I just throw it out there. Hey, be here by 6 o'clock today.
You won't show up. It has to be scheduled. It has to be scheduled. It has to be a class.
He's right. You know what? I balance my family and everything else. I get it. I know. Hey.
I'll tell you what, though. I'll give it to you. If the theater is open, I'm gonna go buy some tickets. I'm gonna support that.
Hey, I just know that half the people won't show up, and it'll just be me and my little couple people, you know.
I think you know what. I think we're at a point where people are ready to get out.
Although I do say that because
I think people are ready to get out.
Because I think we've seen it, and I think the whole rioting stuff is kind of attributed to that. You know, don't get me wrong. I think with all the stuff that was happening, I think the storm was set up for a perfect time to have a lot of problems and a lot of things escalating at once. You know what I mean? The perfect storm. They talk about that, right? Look at all the stuff that's just compiling, dude. It just stay at home, stay at home, stay at home. Black Lives Matter, this George Floyd thing.
You know what I can't wait to do? And it's a lot of work, but as the classes are going on, I'm going to put a schedule up there. Hey, this is when Mr. Abel has his hours open. Let's do one-on-ones. One of the things that if you were tier 1 and tier 2 was that you get a personal lesson or a personal class. I'm going to start working on that. I can't wait. I can't wait to get involved and work with all you guys. You guys, I mean, the whole core team can pick up some of those one-on-one lessons, but my schedule is going to open up ASAP if that's the case. If the information that we got today is correct, my schedule is going to be open, and I can't wait to work with you guys.
I'm going to hold Abel to that, dude, because as the man, the face of the place.
I actually don't do a lot of personal. I don't, and I do it for a purpose.
As a face of the place. Couple months now, he's gonna be busy. I'm gonna be like, "Hey, man, are you doing those one-on-ones?"
I am gonna be busy because you know what? We have a lot of plans to expand this and grow this.
Like, hey, are you doing those one-on-ones? And he's gonna be like, "Well," I'm gonna be like, "No. You need to take a step back and do those one-on-ones." And
that's okay. That's why I'm surrounded by these people because they keep me grounded. And you know what? We owe it to you guys. We owe it to you guys.
Yeah, for sure. I think I think
Straight up. I mean, I don't have anything else to say, but we owe it to you guys.
I think we buy some meat, have a barbecue, and have a big class on next Friday.
I'm just so happy, Mr. Gary. Like, honestly, right now, man, you guys don't even know.
You know what the fun part is
man.
We found out we're sitting here talking to nobody basically right now until we post this. But you haven't told your wife. You haven't told I mean, I'm sure she's going to be ecstatic. I mean, Brett knows, and he's kind of just like, oh.
I'm sure my wife thinks I'm going crazy already. She's worried about me, and she's, I mean, my wife is a clinical therapist. She runs the largest psychiatry department for Orange County, and she probably worries about me a little bit. So getting this news is going to be good news for her. You know what I mean?
Well, at least she can see the signs.
I needed some good news, man.
Yeah. At least she can see the signs. Hey, good news. This is such good news for everybody. And, we talk about it, about being a place of comfort, a place where we can bring our students back and feel comfortable to train here again. I think that's going to be our next goal is I think, because people have been told, stay in quarantine. Oh, it's stage 3. Now you can go out. Whoa.
Yeah. Well, here's the key, though.
Comfort level's got to be there.
So speaking of the comfort level, I think here's the key. I think that most people that have supported us through the move from where we were before to here, and then through the COVID, and then through the riots and protesting and all that, I think that everybody that's been supporting us knows that we care about them and that we're not going to expose anybody to anything that would be unsafe for them.
How insane does it sound? Like, in our lifetime, would anybody ever say we lived through a pandemic and open a studio and...
That's what it is growing up in the 80s and 90s. We've talked about this before, man.
But I'm just
We're like that last...
It's like, I've been through riots. I've been through... I had cancer. Dude, if nothing can kill me, I'm still here, dude. I'm still running around like an idiot. It's like...
In Spanish, we have a saying, and for those of you Spanish speakers, it's called mala hierba o mala mata no muere. Mala mata no muere means bad plant or a bad weed doesn't die, right? So that's what you are, man. Bad weed doesn't die, baby.
I'm serious,
You're
dude.
bad weed.
I'm like a cockroach. I just keep running around
You
here.
keep multiplying, baby.
Dude, a nuke could hit, and I'd be like, I already been through 3 months of radiation, and I can I can take anything now. Shoot, man.
Life, man. Life is interesting, man. It teaches us.
We're in like this weird paradox.
It's
of
like
a place.
bizarro.
Yeah,
man.
it's total paradox. Yeah, dude, we're so much closer to the Marvel movies than we know it.
You said it a while back when I said about black holes and going through a black hole and maybe another universe. Like there was a theory that there's other universes. Yeah. You're like, oh, that's like Marvel universe kind of stuff. And I was like, all right, whatever. Yeah. And then look at us now.
Yeah. I'm starting to become like. Dude, I mean,
hey, it's all for a purpose, man. This is by design, baby.
I'm gonna manifest that I win the lotto tonight, and then on the way home, I'm buying some tickets, dude. Manifestation of my greatness. That's all I'm gonna say.
I don't think it works like that.
No, you know what? Quite honestly, I'm old enough where I know it doesn't work like that. But if I can manifest that I just be happy and my life goes in a positive direction, I'm freaking cool with that. But I needed to go in that direction, or else I become super skeptical, dude. I'm the guy who's always like, really, Abel? Really? You think so? I don't know. That's my saying.
I can't wait to get back at it, man. I've this little break from you guys at home, from the students, and all that has really shown me something. It showed me that, yeah, we were working. We've always been working hard. We've always had a good vision, but we haven't done enough. I really sincerely think that we could do more, and we can provide more, and we can even provide a better product.
You know what's funny is since we've been here, dude, I don't know, we're probably going on like hour 2 of this.
Whatever, man.
But I'm laughing because I don't even remember what our first thoughts were of this podcast.
That's because it all changed.
It changed drastically. But let's look back. Hey, stage 3 hopefully is 100% legit, and we open it up by next Friday. Mr. Abel was feeling down in the dumps this last week, but he's got some good news. So, hey, he's back.
And it's really rare. I mean, it really genuinely is rare for me to get stuck. It's almost like
I'm happy you mentioned it. Because I think most men don't feel they can like we all goof around here and say, "Oh, I love you, man. Oh, I love you," and that stems from just being around Abel and whatever. But no, I mean, if you really think about it, it takes a grown man to actually say stuff like that. I bring that back up because when I was brought up, I was like, no, you're not saying that. No, that's not cool. No. I was brought up that way, so there's times where I come off.
No, you have to. You know what? Depression is a real thing, man. It's
it opens your eyes.
Yeah, like depression can snuff a life away so easily, and within a few seconds that you wouldn't even know it, man. And so like for me to even say something like, man, I just felt off. Like I felt like I just. It's serious enough for me to say something because I care about you guys, and if I'm involved in this team that we say that we're leaders in the community, or at least in our community, I think it's fair enough for me to say something to you guys because you guys should know, if I'm feeling down or not.
Of course we should know, and we should be able to tell.
Because I also make you guys weaker by not saying anything,
But it's good that we bring it up, and I think more people need to bring it up.
You know what I mean?
Generation.
I think that the years that we grew up in, 80s and 90s, is heavily towards the macho, kind of like there's a certain image of a man, right? And I think that's a mistake, man. Like, yeah, it's good to be manly, it's good to be a man, it's good to stand up for something. But when it comes to your mental health, I think that we got it wrong.
You ever get caught running through your house naked?
No, I've never been caught.